Welcome back to Bravo Breaking News with Kim and Lisa. We are fresh off of another dramatic episode of Real Housewives of Orange County. But not only that, I attended Shannon and Vicky live last night at the Irvine Improv, and let's just say that the tea was piping hot.
Oh my God, I cannot wait to hear all about it. But while Shannon and Vicky took the stage, Heather and Emily faced off on the episode, and Alexis Bellino attempted and so desperately failed to extend a literal olive branch to Shannon.
I've got so many thoughts on the episode, and as always, we are going to break them all down. But before we dive in, make sure you guys are subscribed so you don't miss any more Bravo Breaking News.
Okay, so before we get into the episode, I have to hear about last night, Shannon and Vicky live. What were your takeaways?
Okay, so I had a few takeaways. Probably the first of which was the Q&A portion. I don't know if you guys saw on Instagram, but I did post a video at Bravo Breaking News. I asked the question that we all needed answers to. It kind of seemed like nobody else was going to ask this question. Many people in the audience didn't even know about this. So I don't know. I would question whether you are true Bravo fans if you don't know what's going on. But I asked her about Joel Kim Booster, and it kind of seems like she had a response ready to go and was expecting this. She confronted it head on. She actually said earlier in the night that Joel was like crying and saying how happy he was for her. It was also kind of interesting because two men from the Love Hotel dating show were at the show last night. She did not divulge whether they were dating. Obviously, I don't know if she's dating two men at once from the show, but I guess maybe she connected with somebody, or at least, has people she's talking to.
Yeah.
So that was really interesting. I just needed to get to the bottom of the Joel drama. I mean, why not?
Yeah, and she basically said, okay, first of all, you are a woman of the people, right? Like Kim, one thing about Kim, she is going to attend, and she is going to ask the hard-hitting questions. And I just want to say thank you for your service. Thank you. Hats off to you. A Coto de Casa hat off to you as you were wearing when you asked the question. But she basically says she doesn't know where it came from. It came out of left field. She thought everything was fine on the show. Like you said, at the wrap party, he had tears in his eyes and said how happy he was for Shannon. So I don't know. I mean, I enjoy Joel whenever I hear him as a guest on a podcast. I don't know if there's something going on, with him that I don't know. It just seems very strange. And Shannon doesn't seem like the type of person that would just treat like the crew and staff terribly.
I agree. It definitely seemed out of character for her. I know a lot of people are coming to bat for her, saying whenever they've met her, she's been very nice. So I don't know. I've met her just a couple times very briefly, but she has been very nice. So I don't know, but the show was fun. I will say, though, if you've seen the Tres Amigas, you probably don't need to see this show because it is pretty much a repurposing of the Tres Amigas shows. The same songs, the same dances, without the mentions of tequila. And of course, Tres Amigas is now Dos Amigas. But it's fun. They're entertaining to watch no matter what they're doing. They talk about their time on the show. Gretchen and Lizzie, former housewives, showed up. I did end up going on stage for trivia. That is where the Coto de Casa hat came from. And, they were asking for super fans. I would consider myself a super fan, but they were asking some tough questions. Like, could you name the original 5 cast members of OC season 1?
There is one woman who was only on for that first season, and I'm not going to know her name. But it was Vicky, it was Lori, Gina Keogh, oh my gosh.
It's tough, right?
I don't know her. Joe De La Rosa. And that 5th woman, I'm not going to know.
Well, I guess her name is Kimberly because I didn't remember that. But anyway, there were some tough questions. They asked the tough questions too. Didn't get them all, but had fun. If you're watching this today, head over to my stories. I covered everything I could on there, but it was a fun night. Definitely worth going to. But yeah, I just wanted to give you all a little bit of the tea from the show before we dived into the episode.
I love it. I love it so much. Okay, so getting back into the episode, we're basically picking up where we left off last week, right? Tamra's storming out of Katie's house. Her husband is not going after her. Katie goes after her and, kind of divulges a little bit more about the FBI situation. And then we go back and Katie says, Eddie, Tamra's ready to go because Eddie was just chilling.
He was just sitting there wrapped in the little blanket, like just chilling.
Not a care in the world. Like, your wife just stormed out and he's just like, meh. Then he is saying bye to everyone. Ryan extends his hand. Eddie shakes his hand and they go in for a hug. Then he hugs Jen. And I was like, what is happening here? Like, they just faced off and Tamra ended up storming out. And now Eddie is hugging Jen and Ryan. It seemed very strange.
It was very strange. It kind of seems to me that this kind of proves that Tamra is the problem. I feel like if Tamra were involved, like Eddie could maybe move past this. You know what I mean? Like he's willing to brush it under the rug. But the fact that he doesn't go after her, he's not kind of like falling victim to her like crazy antics and storming out and stuff. And he literally hugs them before he walks out. Like, the wild. It's Tamra. The problem is Tamra.
Yeah. So Emily does pick up the FBI football, right? And she starts running with it. And she says, well, what is all that about? And I gotta say, Ryan's not a very good liar because he says, well, it's funny because my friend Matt is going through something with the FBI. Maybe that's what she's talking about. Yeah, that's exactly what she's talking about, right?
Yeah, it's like, how many people could you have or friends in your circle that are going through like an FBI scandal getting investigated? Like, he's like, maybe it's Matt you're talking about.
It was so bad. So there's something there with the Vegas, with the professional gambling situation. Apparently, it's being alleged that this person, Matt, used Ryan's home address for a business address. So there's probably something a little bit shady going on. And I understand why he doesn't want to talk about it on camera, but he's just not a great liar.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that more of it is going to come out. Like at this point in the show, it hasn't really hit the headlines yet. Right now, Tamra is the one bringing it like to the group. So yeah, I don't know. I think we're going to learn more and more. We got that little video from Giorgio Says from TikTok or something that's kind of divulging that Ryan was paid $500,000 and all this stuff. So I don't know. It's still very murky. Like we don't know any of the details really.
Clear as mud.
Yeah. So let's move over to Emily and Gina. They are at Gina's house, and Gina has for some reason, decided to put a stripper pole in her kid's bedroom. Now, Lisa.
Fire pole, Kim, a fire pole.
You have a daughter. Would you put a fire pole in, call it whatever you want, but it's the same thing.
Listen,
would you put a pole in her room?
I'm not going to judge anyone's parenting, but it's a little crazy. I think the idea was that because they have bunk beds and they're on the top, it's just an easy way to get down, but it's a little strange. And when the son hopped up and did the full twirl, I was like, I don't know. I was uncomfortable.
I mean, it's definitely a good upper body workout, so, they'll stay fit. But now of course, we resort to talking about the drama, and we also get this scene with Heather, Shannon, and Katie shopping, and they're still talking about the Heather versus Emily feeling self-conscious from the fashion show. And now Heather is upset with Gina because Gina left Jen's house with Emily and is taking Emily's side, for lack of a better, term. And now Heather's pissed off at Gina for that. It's like, I don't know. And then there was a very interesting moment in that furniture store when Heather basically like sits down and like looks dead on to Katie or Shannon and is like, well, whose side are you taking? And it's like, whoa, like back off. Like,
yeah,
this isn't that big of a deal. And you need all of these people to be on your side. They're not able to sympathize with Emily whatsoever. Like, what?
Yeah, Katie definitely played it neutral. And Heather, what really irked me is when Heather says, I would have loved the opportunity to sit and talk with Emily one-on-one. As a friend, she should have just come to me. She tried. She tried in that moment, Heather, to pull you aside, and you shut her down. So, I'm sorry, what? Like, roll tape. I am with Emily 100% on this. All she wanted was Heather to just acknowledge and have a little bit of compassion, and Heather couldn't do it. And now she seems to be doubling down. So, I mean, they get to it later on in the episode, and I'm glad that they resolved it because I do think it was not, it became a much bigger deal than it actually is. But Heather just, I did not like how she handled this one at all.
Yeah, me neither. She's taking it way further than it ever needed to go. I feel like this could have been like nipped in the bud so quickly and easily when Emily brought it up to begin with. But the fact that Heather kind of gave her a hard time about it and questioned her about it, and it's almost like Heather like went away and thought about it. And she's like, well, now I should have a reason to be mad at her, like
Right.
for accusing me of this. And so it's just become this thing that it never should have. And I think Emily gets that. But yeah, they do discuss it at Shannon's tea party, which was very interesting. A lot went down there. But I kind of love a theme party. I love the tea party. Obviously, it's where, we learn that they're going to London. But it does remind me of when we were pulling up to the tea party or the tea room, I was instantly reminded of like Vicky's birthday with the carriage and like almost like the Bridgerton theme party that they had.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that was maybe at the same venue. I don't know, but I loved this and we got a lot from it.
Yeah, we got a lot. Shannon wants to make a grand entrance, and once she arrives, we understand why. But before she gets there, we get Heather coming in and immediately saying, hey, Emily, can we talk? And Emily says, right now? She says, yeah. And Emily says, no, I don't think that's a good idea. But Heather kind of keeps pestering. So eventually they go off and talk. And for the first time, Heather finally just sat and listened and really took in what Emily was saying. And that just proves to me, like, Heather tries to claim, of course I've had insecurities. I'm a woman. No. You don't understand what it's like to be a woman who has been ridiculed for her weight in the public. Like, it hits much differently. And so I think she finally did understand and was genuinely apologetic. But then she does the thing where she says, but can I just tell my side of it? It's like, no. Who cares what your side is? Just stop. Just say, I didn't mean to do that. I'm really sorry. I understand why that would have offended you or why that would have upset you. And leave it at that, Heather. You don't always have to have the last word.
I totally agree. And I feel like she is really not doing herself any favors in these confessionals, especially when I've had body image issues. Girl,
Yeah.
It is not the same. Do
No.
not compare your situation to Emily's because it is 180. It could not be more different. So I don't know. I really hope they're able to move on. I also hope that Tamra and Jen are maybe supposed to or allowed to move on because Tamra does walk in and basically immediately apologize to Jen for what went down the night before. Again, I kind of feel like the issue isn't even between Tamra and Jen at this point. It's between Tamra and Ryan. I don't know. This is really messy. Jen like looks at her very stoically and it's like does not really receive it well. And I don't think that she should, because Tamra walking in and thinking that she can just, wipe the slate clean and be like, I'm sorry, will you accept my apology? Like, no, I won't. No, I won't, ma'am.
Yeah, I mean, there at least needs to be some time and a conversation, not just oh, I'm so sorry about how that all went down last night. God, that was crazy, wasn't it? Like,
yeah, wave to Tamra to like act like it was just like a nothing burger, when we're talking about the FBI here. So of course we get the reveal from Shannon. We get the whole, almost like a stripper, like
we're going to
Woo! I
Where's
loved
that
it.
fire pole?
I know, right? So that moment was great. Heather gifts her Hermes sandals, which was a very nice gift. And Shannon makes note, okay, these were a gift. I'm going to, write that down in my ledger. And we get a flashback.
I actually didn't catch that. That's hilarious.
We get a flashback of Shannon, like with receipts, like showing, I think it was Gina, like literally printing them out. She's like, okay, on this date, and circling this thing that she bought for John. Like, she needs to be careful these days. But then, okay, the Hermes gift was good. Then we get another gift, and it's this massive, bouquet of flowers. And you called it best. It's giving Margaret Joseph's, even though not as iconic, I don't think.
No. Alexis wishes.
It's a literal olive branch, and nobody knows who it's from. They're like, oh, who's it from? Shannon's like, is it from one of you? Everybody's like, nope. Mm-hmm. She opens the card. It's from Alexis Bellino. And it's basically Alexis pretending like nothing's ever happened. Like, she's like, here's a card. I wish you all the best in your new decade. Like, well wishes. Like, what? Where do you get off? Where do you think that you have the nerve to send Shannon flowers days after your boyfriend is suing her for $75,000? Like, in what world is that appropriate?
It is giving Alexis is one, desperate for screen time, two, wants to be iconic, but just isn't, and three, she is the type of person who will say one thing and do another, and her actions don't match her words. And she is thinking in her head, oh, let me send this. And because, I'm such a nice person. Like, I don't have any problem with Shannon. Look how nice I am. I'm sending her flowers. I'm extending a literal olive branch and saying, I wish you well. And she knows Shannon's not going to receive it. That's her whole plan. She knows Shannon's not going to receive it. And then she can go and say, well, I've done what I can. I've done my part. I mean, please.
Like, I just don't know. We say this every week. Does she have a brain? Who in their right mind would think that this would actually lead to having a positive conversation, let alone relationship with this woman? So I don't know, but it gets even better when Shannon reads the text that she has already drafted prior to this lunch to Alexis.
Yeah. Hi, Alexis. It's Shannon Beador. I just want to let you know that I'm inviting some friends to London and you are not invited. Period.
You're damn straight. Now, everybody at the table seems to think that this was a little harsh. And I want to get your thoughts because I have my own thoughts.
Okay,
you go first.
I am a fan of, I think you really do need to consider delivery. I think she could have softened it a bit also, but at the end of the day, the message is correct. She doesn't want there to be any gray area of Alexis saying, oh, you guys are going to London? Well, am I going to London too? This is a cast trip, so I should be there, right? I should be there. No. She doesn't want any of that. And I think Shannon has every right to not want Alexis there. and she's just being direct. I do think that you get more flies with honey, but I understand where Shannon's coming from. What about you?
No softening needed.
It.
It's not like she was calling her names or being rude or anything. She simply states the facts. Yeah. I'm planning a trip. You were not invited. I am not accepting your olive branch. Goodbye, ma'am. Like, I think that's all that needs to be said. I don't think that Shannon owes this woman any ounce of respect or dignity because of what Alexis has done to her. I also have a theory about how the trip went down, because in this next scene that we'll get to where Jen and Katie go and tell Alexis, it kind of seems like Alexis was expecting to be a part of this trip. I think that maybe production had planned for Alexis to be a part of the trip until the lawsuit came out. This is just my theory.
I see.
I just think that, you know, of course, we were going to get a lot of drama with them going head to head on the trip and everything. And Alexis expected to be there. But once the lawsuit came out and shit started to get real, this is just a theory. I think that Bravo and production needed to step in, or Shannon went to production and was like, look, like she said, I'm setting boundaries with Alexis. Right. I don't want to be around her. They are currently suing me. And so I don't even want to be in the same room as her. And of course, they need to choose Shannon over Alexis. So that's just my theory. But
no, that makes total sense. What I didn't understand is when Katie and Jen get to Alexis's house, first of all, I don't understand those curtains one bit. Immediate no, jail. No, what is that?
Well, let's be real. Jesus Jugs doesn't quite have the taste that maybe some of the other ladies do.
It was bad. It was real bad. But also, did they time it? So did Katie and Jen text Shannon when they got to Alexis's house and say, okay, we're here, send the text now? Because they said, well, you should probably check your phone. And where's my phone? I don't know. Johnny has my phone. Johnny. I'm like, this was just very poorly executed, pretending like she hasn't the text, or they just time it perfectly. I don't know. But either way, she pretends to be shocked. And, she reads the text out loud and says, well, I don't know what to do anymore. I've tried everything.
Excuse me, ma'am? You've tried everything? You've tried everything to be nice to this woman and extend an olive branch when in the past 3 or 4 episodes you have threatened to release damaging videos of her. You've pulled out wire transfers to prove that she owes John Jansen money. You've slandered this woman any chance you've gotten. You've divulged that she almost ran over John Jansen's daughter. You have literally done nothing to support this woman and try to make her life easier. You've only tried to make it harder. And you think that literally sending her an olive branch, I think Alexis thinks that extending an olive branch to somebody is literally sending them an olive branch. I think she thinks that sending Shannon an olive branch means that she's the bigger person and she's going to think that she can just, move on after that, when obviously not. But it also kind of pissed me off. I love Jen, but Jen and Katie go over there and they're like, oh, we need to let Alexis down easy. We need to be very why? This woman isn't even a full-time cast member. Why do you need to tiptoe around this, invite to a cast trip? It just seems so odd the way it's all handled.
Yeah. And why do they like her so much? Because she starts saying, I can't be around this group. I won't be around this group. And they said, Alexis, that's not fair to us. I'm sorry. Okay, bye. No one cares. I mean, it was very strange to me. And then, oh God, we get John in a confessional with Alexis. And he's saying he has proof that Shannon admits that the money was a loan and he was forced to take action because he was days away from the statute of limitations running out on, recouping some of his money. Okay, then if it was about the money, she offered you the money. But no, we all know that it's not about the money. It's about the fact that you want to disparage this woman publicly. And that's disgusting.
It's sick. It's disgusting. That confessional was sick and disgusting. And every time he opens his mouth or Alexis talks about this, they think that they are getting in front of the camera to right their wrongs and to support, their side of the story. But every time they speak, it just makes them look worse and worse. Like, John, get out of that confessional chair. You're not doing yourself any favors by sitting there and saying these things. It's just absolutely ridiculous.
I don't know. I feel like I need a psychiatrist to break this down. Maybe we should have our friend on again. But it ends with Alexis basically dramatically saying, I can't do this. I'm done. And she just gets up and goes and opens the door and kind of does this motion of like, and Katie and Jen are just sitting there shocked, like, oh, you want us to leave? Oh, okay. They didn't do anything wrong. Like, why are you asking them to leave? And so she says, yeah, I can't do this. And Jen and Katie leave. She kind of slams the door and they're like, what the fuck? Like, we didn't do anything. We're clearly just the messengers here. And they could not have been nicer to her, saying, Alexis, we want to hang out with you. Like, this isn't fair to us. I can't believe this is going down. We're going to miss you. And she just kicks them out. I don't know. She's a dodo.
Once again, Alexis fails to read the room. She just doesn't understand what's going on, like, most of the time. And this is just another example of that. Oh, but yeah, leave it to Alexis to try to, make an impression and make something, happen on the show, and it falls flat once again. So yeah, that was this week's episode. Do we head to London next episode? I didn't catch the preview for next week, but Are we already heading there next episode? So
yes,
we're heading to London. The season, I think, is almost over,
which is crazy to me because it feels like it just started.
And they are filming the reunion this Sunday in LA. Oof. So Shannon shared that. Obviously, Alexis is going to be there. She's not looking forward to it. She did say who she's most looking forward to being around and seeing, though, are Gina and Emily. And I do kind of love their newfound friendship. So I really hope that, Shannon has some backup at this reunion, because I know that shit's going to come out. And I know that, it's not going to be pretty for her. Who knows what Alexis is willing to say or do to get you to make a statement on the show.
I swear to God,
I'm a little scared for Shannon.
I swear to God, if John Jansen goes on that stage or gets any camera time, I'm going to fucking riot.
Oh, God. I didn't even think about that, Lisa.
Bravo. If you can hear this, do not invite that man. We do not want to see his face.
Well, I'm wondering if, on a lot of other Housewives reunions, we do get a segment with the husbands coming on, and with the whole Jen and Ryan thing and Tamara and Eddie, I do wonder if we might see some of the men on that stage. I do not want to see John Jansen, though. I would take Ryan and Eddie over John Jansen any day.
1,000%. 1,000 times more.
So we'll see. There's a lot to come. A lot going down in the Bravo universe as per usual. We had the new New York premiere this week. Oh, Bravo's keeping us booked and busy. So make sure you guys subscribe so you don't miss any more Bravo breaking news, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye, everyone.